Hello, I'm making this video following a question from a subscriber who asked what are the basic tools for upholstery. It looks like there's quite a lot here and that's not all of them, but today we're just going to cover the basic ripping down or taking down and rebuilding tools that we need to reupholster a chair. Let's first look at the tools we need for ripping out. So basically you need a mallet. There are various different sizes. Some people like to use a round headed one, but as you can see by the wear on these, I've really only ever used this wooden one and that has been fine for me. You then need some ripping out, dedicated upholstery ripping out tools. Now this ripping chisel is used to remove tacks, and you can see it has a double prong on it. Some people use just a single prong. You can get both obviously, but I've only ever used this one. The only thing is you do need to be careful when you're digging into fabric that you're not going to cut into fabric that you want to reuse. So then all you do, if you imagine there's a little tack here, is go under the tack, and you can go under with the sharp edge, or you can go in between, put the tack in between, and then you just, and you will see, if you watch my videos, you'll see how we do it. And you do need to be quite gentle, as I say, but getting that little chisel end under there lifts the tack. Okay, and then you can get the tack in the middle there and whack it out. The other ones, this one is again a single one, so you could use this in the same way. It's not as sharp, so it's not going to rip into fabric, but it's also really more useful for staples, getting staples out. So that's actually the only time I really use this one. This one is for staples, and you can see it's got 4 little prongs on it, and you can get the staple right inside these sort of edge bits. Okay, and exactly the same way where your staple is, you just start with a point, getting it under the staple, giving it a little whack, and then the staple will come into this groove. And you can lift it out one way or another, but this is a really useful tool for that. You then need some pliers. Sometimes on an old chair, the head will come off the tack, or you might just get left with a little bit of a leg, or you want to get your staples out. And I, again, have only ever used these really small pliers, but you can also use some pointed ones. So then it's time to start rebuilding, and the best friend you can have in upholstery is a magnetic hammer. And this is quite a large one. You can get a smaller one. I've only ever used this one. That's the only one I have. But really do invest in one of these hammers. It has a claw end, although again, I haven't really needed to use that. So what you do when you have your tacks, and I'm using 10mm tacks. There are 3 different size tacks, but we'll cover those in another video. So you get your tacks. Oh, what are we going to do? Put a few out, grab your tack, and then you can just tap it into your piece of wood like this. And at the same time, you've got a free hand to hold the fabric and really get things where you want them. So the next piece of vital equipment that you must have is the web stretcher. And you can see it has a hole in the middle, a little cylindrical bit, and a cutout piece on the top. We have it so that it's this way up, okay, when we're going to stretch our web. So if you imagine that you've put your tacks in your webbing, neatened it up, and that's held very firmly in place. You then take it across to the other side of your chair, rather long chair here. You put the webbing through from the top, insert, going around in circles, insert the little cylinder, and pull it tight. Come on. Okay. You then hook this little wedged out bit under the chair and pull down on it. This is held very firmly in place, and you can then stretch your webbing. And if I let go, you can see how that pulls it. Okay. The next is you'll be cutting your fabric to put on your project. And I have a selection of tape measures, the inch one side, inch and centimetre this side, so it's fairly standard for measuring when you're trying to measure the bits of the chair. That's most useful. When I'm cutting my fabric, I use these long rulers, and two, you really need two. If you have two, you can use them as a sort of slide rule. So you can get a straight line right across your fabric rather than sort of trying to lift one up and move it and you end up with a wiggle. It's not quite as important on upholstery fabric as it is with soft furnishings, but I do soft furnishings as well, which is why I usually use the two. My wooden one is getting a bit the worse for wear. Probably sentimental value, I've had it the longest. But it's quite thick, but these steel ones are probably better. They give you a much sharper line. Okay. And then these set squares. My father, who is now 93, made these when he was at school, and they're still going strong, so they can come in handy if you want to make a corner, nice sharp corner, especially if you're cutting a piece of foam. Scissors. A really, really good heavy duty pair of scissors is also invaluable. Don't use it for paper if it's going to be your fabric scissors, because they'll blunt it. But also you can have a selection of smaller scissors just for cutting thread and twine and getting into small corners. Marking chalk is really good. I actually prefer to use the white. Again, it depends what fabric you're using. It does wash out, but you're not going to be washing your upholstery fabric. So if you're using a colour, just bear that in mind. Yoo-hoo glue. I have never, ever, and will never, as long as they make it, use any other. And this I really use for putting the gimp braid around the edge of things. But it's really strong and easy to work with, and you can get it off if it gets in the wrong place. And then the last thing I have is this piece of 5x2. Now, if you're putting springs in a chair, and it's probably not something you're going to be doing very often, I certainly don't. But if you have, say for instance, this is the back frame of your chair, and you've got your springs in the middle, and you lash them down, but you've got to get those springs down to lash them to the other side of the chair. So you can wedge this under your frame, pull those springs down, it's across your springs, you can pull those strings down, and then you've got them nice and firmly in place so that you can lash your cord to the other side. Okay. And I think for this video, that's about it. There are also a lot of needles we use. One called a regulator with a big hole at one end. Another one, very long one with sharp points on both ends and one eye. The curved needles. For various different techniques you need to use in your reupholstery. Also pins. So I'm going to make another video with those and the threads that we use, the twines that we use with them and why we use them. and I'll also show you in that video the different size of tacks that we use and tell you why. I hope you found this video useful for your basic upholstery tools. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I make more videos. Leave a comment if there's anything you want to see. This video was inspired by a comment. So thanks for watching.